Now let's begin. The gallery opening in downtown Boston had the kind of sterile elegance that made Devin Raymond's jaw tight. Crystal glasses. Hushed conversations. People who smiled with their mouths, but not their eyes. He stood near a towering abstract sculpture, watching his wife Laura work the room with the practiced grace she'd learned from her mother. She was good at this. The air kisses, the hollow compliments, the performance of caring. "Daddy, can we go soon?" Emma tugged at his sleeve. At 9 years old, his daughter had her mother's dark hair, but his green eyes that hadn't yet learned to hide what they felt. She wore the navy dress Laura had insisted on, the one with the white collar that made her look like she was playing dress-up in someone else's childhood. "Soon, sweetheart." Devin crouched down to her level, straightening the collar. "Your mom needs to say goodbye to some people first." "I hate these things." Emma's whisper was conspiratorial. "Everyone talks about boring stuff, and nobody actually looks at the art." Devin smiled despite himself. "That's because most of them don't actually care about art. They care about being seen caring about art." "That's stupid. Very stupid. But that's how your mom's world works." Laura appeared beside them, her smile thin. "Emma, darling, go find Aunt Beatrice. She wanted to show you something." After Emma scampered off, Laura's voice dropped. "Could you at least try to engage? My parents are watching." Devin straightened, rolling his shoulders back. Across the gallery, Vernon and Muriel Kuhn stood like monarchs surveying their domain. Vernon, 72 and sharp as broken glass, ran the Kuhn Family Foundation, a charitable organization that was less about charity and more about tax shelters and social control. Muriel, 68, had perfected the art of the cutting remark delivered with a smile. "I'm here, aren't I?" Devin said. "You're here physically, but you're doing that thing where you stand apart from everyone, judging them." "I don't judge. I observe. It's what I'm good at." Laura's eyes flashed. "This is important to my family, Devin. The foundation gala is in 3 weeks, and then Christmas at the house. I need you to." "To what?" "Pretend I'm one of them." He kept his voice level, calm. "We've been married 11 years, Laura. If they haven't accepted me by now, they never will. They have accepted you. You just make everything so difficult." Before Devin could respond, Vernon Kuhn materialized beside them, whiskey in hand. "Devin, still in the crisis management business, I hear. Still cleaning up rich people's mistakes, if that's what you mean." Vernon's laugh had no warmth in it. "Yes, well, must be profitable. All those scandals and indiscretions. Do you ever wonder if you're part of the problem? Enabling bad behavior?" Devin met his father-in-law's gaze without flinching. "I help people navigate difficult situations. What they do before they come to me isn't my responsibility." Convenient philosophy. Vernon took a sip of his whiskey. "Laura tells me Emma's grades have improved. Math especially. She's brilliant. Takes after her old man." The insult landed so subtly that Laura didn't catch it, but Vernon's eyes narrowed. "Indeed. Well, we'll see you both at Christmas. The family gathering. Very traditional this year." Muriel is quite excited. After Vernon drifted away, Laura turned to Devin. "Why do you do that?" "Do what?" "Poke at him. Antagonize him. Because he looks at me like I'm something he stepped in. Because he looks at our daughter the same way. Or haven't you noticed?" Laura's face colored. "That's not true. They love Emma. They love the idea of her. The Kuhn granddaughter. But they can't quite get past the fact that she's half me. Half the scholarship kid from Dorchester who crashed their daughter's Harvard party and didn't have the good sense to know his place." "You're being paranoid." Devin watched Emma across the room, laughing at something Beatrice Haas showed her on a phone. His younger sister-in-law had always been kinder than the rest of them, less infected by the family poison. "Maybe. But I've built a career reading people, Laura. Reading rooms. I know when I'm not wanted." "Then why do you keep coming to these things?" He looked at his wife, really looked at her. The woman he'd fallen for 12 years ago at that Harvard mixer had been different, or he'd thought she was. Sharp and funny and hungry for something beyond her family's suffocating expectations. But the years had worn her down, or maybe just revealed what had always been there beneath the rebellion. She was a Kuhn through and through. "Because you asked me to," he said simply. "And because Emma should know her family." Laura's expression softened. "They're trying, Devin. My parents. They're from a different generation. Different values. Different tax bracket, you mean." "Stop it." She touched his arm. "Please. For me. Can you just try? At Christmas. Be pleasant. Don't start anything." Devin thought about the file in his office safe. The one labeled Coon Family Foundation Irregularities. The one he'd started compiling 6 months ago, after Vernon had made a particularly cutting remark about Emma's table manners at a family dinner. The one that detailed charitable donations that never quite reached their intended recipients. Board members who were paid consultants with no apparent duties. Real estate transactions that looked suspiciously like money laundering. He'd built it not as a weapon, but as insurance. In his line of work, you learned that information was currency, and the Coons had always made him feel like he was in debt. "I'll try," he said. Laura smiled and kissed his cheek. "Thank you. It means everything to me." Devin pulled Emma into his lap later that night, back at their brownstone in Back Bay. Laura was already asleep, exhausted from the social performance. Emma wore her favorite pajamas, the ones with dinosaurs that Laura hated because they weren't age-appropriate. "Did you have fun tonight?" he asked, already knowing the answer. Emma wrinkled her nose. "It was okay. Aunt Beatrice showed me pictures of her trip to Costa Rica. That was cool. But Grandma said my dress made me look like I was trying too hard." Devin's jaw tightened. "Your dress was perfect. You were perfect. Grandma also said I should stop reading so much science fiction. She said it's not good for girls to fill their heads with nonsense." "Grandma is wrong. You read whatever you want, sweetheart. Your brain is the most powerful thing you've got. Don't let anyone tell you to make it smaller." Emma tilted her head, studying him with those sharp green eyes. "You don't like them very much, do you?" "Mom's family." Devin considered lying, the way adults do. But Emma deserved better. "I don't like how they make you feel small. And I don't like how they look at you sometimes, like you're not quite good enough. But here's what I know. You are enough. More than enough. You're extraordinary. And anyone who can't see that is blind. Even if they're family. Especially if they're family. Family should see you clearest of all." He kissed her forehead. "Now go to sleep. Tomorrow's Saturday. We'll do something fun. Just you and me. Can we go to the Science Museum? We can go anywhere you want." After tucking Emma in, Devin poured himself 2 fingers of scotch and stood at his study window, looking out at the Boston skyline. His phone buzzed, a text from Wesley Levy, an investigative journalist who sometimes fed him information. "Got something interesting on the Coon Foundation. You still interested?" Devin stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. "What kind of interesting?" "The kind that would make a great front-page story. Multiple sources. Financial records. Want to meet tomorrow? Send me what you have. I'll take a look." He shouldn't have asked. He'd told Laura he'd try. But as he sipped his scotch and thought about Emma's face when Muriel had criticized her dress, about 9 years of subtle slights and quiet exclusions, he found he didn't much care about trying anymore. The file Wesley sent over came through at midnight. Devin opened it on his laptop, reading through bank statements, emails, depositions from former Foundation employees. It was worse than what he'd already gathered. Much worse. The Coon Family Foundation wasn't just bending rules, it was breaking them. Systematically. Creatively. And Vernon Coon's fingerprints were all over everything. Devin closed the laptop and finished his scotch. He wouldn't do anything with this. Not yet. Laura was right. He needed to try. For her sake. For Emma's sake. Family was complicated, messy, imperfect. You couldn't just burn it down because it disappointed you. But he'd keep the file. Just in case. Just in case they pushed too far. The invitation to the Foundation's annual gala arrived 3 days later, embossed and elegant. Laura was thrilled. Emma was less enthusiastic. "Do I have to go?" she asked at breakfast. "It's important to your grandmother," Laura said, not looking up from her phone. "The gala raises money for children's literacy programs." Devin bit back his response. The literacy programs that received about 30 cents on every dollar donated, according to Wesley's file. The rest vanished into administrative costs and operational expenses, which seemed to include Vernon's vintage car collection and Muriel's monthly trips to their Foundation office in Monaco. "I'll make you a deal," Devin told Emma. "You come to the gala for an hour. We'll make an appearance, you'll smile for some photos, and then I'll take you to get ice cream. The good place. With the cookie dough chunks." Emma's face brightened. Really? Your mom can stay as long as she wants. You and I will escape." Laura shot him a look. "Devin. What? I'm compromising." Emma makes an appearance, represents the family, but doesn't have to suffer through 4 hours of speeches about charitable giving from people who've never missed a meal in their lives. "You're impossible. I'm pragmatic. There's a difference." The gala was held at the Park Plaza, in a ballroom that dripped with old money and older pretensions. Devin stood near the bar, nursing a gin and tonic, watching Emma navigate the crowd with Laura. His daughter looked uncomfortable in her formal dress, but she smiled when she needed to, shook hands when prompted. She was tougher than she looked. Devin Raymond. I heard you'd be here. He turned to find Orlando Hester, a local real estate developer and one of the foundation's major donors. They'd worked together once, when Orlando's son had gotten into some trouble at college. DUI, assault charges, the kind of thing that could derail a political career before it started. Devin had made it go away, quietly, efficiently, expensively. Orlando, good to see you. Is it though? Orlando's smile was knowing. Word is you've been asking questions about the foundation, digging into financials. Devin kept his expression neutral. I ask questions about everyone. It's my job. Careful, my friend. Vernon Kuhn doesn't appreciate scrutiny, especially from family. Noted. I mean it. He's got a long memory and deeper pockets than you think. And he's not above making life difficult for people who cross him. Orlando leaned in closer. Between you and me, I'd watch my back if I were you. Vernon's been talking, saying things about you, about your marriage. What kind of things? That Laura married beneath her station. That Emma would be better off with more traditional influences. That maybe it's time for the family to intervene. Take a more active role in the girl's upbringing. The gin and tonic turned to ice in Devin's stomach. They want custody? I don't know about custody, but they're definitely planting seeds. Talking to lawyers. Making sure people know that you're not quite suitable. Orlando clapped him on the shoulder. Just thought you should know. Professional courtesy. After Orlando drifted away, Devin found Laura near the stage, where Vernon was preparing to give his annual speech. We need to talk. Not now? Dad's about to speak. Laura. Devin, please. Later, he watched Vernon take the stage, all charm and false humility, thanking donors for their generosity while wearing a watch that cost more than most people's cars. The applause was thunderous. The smile on Muriel's face was triumphant. And Devin realized, with perfect clarity, that trying wasn't going to work. These people would never accept him, would never truly accept Emma. And now they were making moves to take his daughter away from him, to mold her into another generation of Kuhn, all surface and no substance, all appearance and no heart. He found Emma by the dessert table, looking miserable. Ready for that ice cream? He asked. Her face lit up. Really? Already? Really? Go say goodbye to your mom. I'll get the car. As they left the ballroom, Devin pulled out his phone and sent a message to Wesley. Let's talk about that story. Soon. The weeks leading up to Christmas were tense. Laura threw herself into holiday preparations with manic energy, as if enough garland and eggnog could smooth over the fractures in their marriage. Devin went through the motions, hanging lights, wrapping presents, smiling at Emma when she asked if everything was okay. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Just work stuff. But it wasn't work stuff. It was the conversation he'd overheard between Laura and her mother, discussing concerns about Devin's influence on Emma. It was the family lawyer who'd called Laura, ostensibly about estate planning, but really about documenting Emma's welfare. It was the way Vernon looked at him now, not with contempt, but with calculation. Like Devin was a problem to be solved. Wesley had wanted to run the story immediately, but Devin had held him back. Not yet. I need more time. Time for what? To be sure. To give them one last chance to do the right thing. And if they don't, then we burn it all down. The invitation to Christmas dinner arrived via Laura's phone, a family group text that included everyone except Devin. Laura claimed it was an oversight, but Devin had seen the timestamp. It had been sent while he was sitting right next to her. Of course you're invited, Laura insisted. It's just, you know how my mother is with technology. Muriel Kuhn had a graduate degree from Wellesley and ran a multi-million-dollar foundation. She knew exactly what she was doing. Christmas Eve came cold and bright. Emma was vibrating with excitement, talking nonstop about seeing her cousins, Vernon Jr.'s kids, Tommy and Katie, who were 12 and 10 respectively. They'd been her best friends until recently, when Vernon Jr. had started making excuses about playdates being complicated and scheduling conflicts. Devin had Emma's present in his pocket, a first-edition copy of A Wrinkle in Time, her favorite book. He'd spent weeks tracking it down, had it specially bound with her name embossed on the cover. They arrived at the Kuhn estate in Brookline at 4:30, per Laura's instructions. The house was massive, Georgian style, with columns and carefully manicured grounds. Christmas lights sparkled in the bare trees. Through the windows, Devon could see people moving inside. Family, friends, the chosen few deemed worthy of inclusion. I'm so excited. Emma bounced in her seat. Do you think Tommy brought his new video game? Maybe, kiddo. Devon unbuckled his seatbelt. Let's find out. They reached the front door together, Emma skipping ahead. Laura had gone early to help with preparations, so it was just the two of them. Emma rang the doorbell, practically vibrating with anticipation. The door opened. Vernon stood there, Muriel beside him. Behind them, Devon could see the great room, the Christmas tree, the table set for dinner, Tommy and Katie and Emma's best friend Lindsay Tran all laughing together. The scene was Norman Rockwell perfect. Vernon's face was stone. Emma, we need to talk to you. Emma's smile faltered. Hi, Grandpa. Merry Christmas. Emma, sweetheart, this year's dinner is for, well, it's complicated. But you're not invited. You need to go home. The words hung in the cold December air like icicles. Devon felt his daughter go rigid beside him. What? Emma's voice was small. Muriel stepped forward, her expression almost pitying. Darling, we're having a very adult conversation tonight about family matters. It's not appropriate for children. We'll see you another time. But Tommy and Katie are here. And Lindsay. I can see them. They're older. They understand certain things. You're not ready yet. Vernon's tone was final. Now run along. Your father can take you home. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She looked past her grandparents at her cousins, at her best friend, all of them frozen in the doorway to the dining room. Tommy at least had the grace to look uncomfortable. Katie was smirking. Emma, Devon said quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. Back to the car. But Daddy. Now, sweetheart. She turned, and Devon saw the tears spilling down her cheeks. His daughter, his brilliant, kind, extraordinary daughter, walked back to the car with her head down, shoulders shaking. Devon met Vernon's eyes. You're making a mistake. Am I? Or am I finally doing what should have been done years ago, protecting this family from inappropriate influences? Vernon's smile was cold. Go home, Devon. This doesn't concern you anymore. Everything concerning my daughter concerns me. We'll see about that. Laura will be in touch. Through her lawyer. The door closed. Devon stood there for 3 seconds, feeling the rage build in his chest like a wave. Then he turned, walked back to the car where Emma sat sobbing in the passenger seat, and pulled out his phone. He made one call. To Wesley Levy. Run the story. All of it. Tomorrow morning. Front page. You sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Devon, this is going to destroy them. The foundation, the family, everything. Good. They destroyed my daughter's Christmas. Time for them to learn about consequences. He hung up and climbed into the car. Emma was still crying, her face buried in her hands. Why don't they want me, Daddy? Devon pulled her close, feeling his heart crack. Because they're small, scared people who make themselves feel important by making others feel small. But you listen to me, Emma Raymond. You are worth 1,000 of them. And I'm going to make sure they know it. How? You'll see. Now let's go home. We'll have our own Christmas. Just you and me. Like it should be. As he drove away from the Kuhn estate, his phone started buzzing. Text messages. Calls. First 1, then 3, then a dozen. He let them all go to voicemail. 20 minutes after his call to Wesley, the screaming started. The first call that got through was from Beatrice. Devon, what did you do? Vernon is having a complete meltdown. He's screaming about lawsuits. And what story? What are you talking about? Then Orlando Hester. Jesus Christ, Raymond. The Globe? You went to the Globe? Do you have any idea what you've done? Then Laura, her voice shaking. Devon, my father is saying you've ruined us. That you gave some journalist information about the foundation. Tell me it's not true. Tell me you didn't. He didn't tell her anything. He just drove home with Emma, carried her inside when she fell asleep against the window, and tucked her into bed still wearing her Christmas dress. In his study, he poured a scotch and waited. The story went live online at 11 p.m. Wesley had done exceptional work. Bank records, emails, testimony from former employees, all of it laid out in devastating detail. The headline read, Kuhn Family Foundation, a decade of deception. By morning, it would be everywhere. By morning, Vernon and Muriel Kuhn would wake up to a very different world. and Devin Raymond would finally stop trying to fit into a family that had never wanted him. He raised his glass to the window, to the distant lights of Brookline where the Coons were likely in crisis mode, and smiled. "Merry Christmas," he said to the darkness. The revenge had only just begun. Christmas morning broke gray and cold. Emma woke to find Devin in the kitchen making pancakes, the chocolate chip kind Laura always said were too indulgent. He'd already fielded 17 calls, all of which he'd let go to voicemail. "Is Mom coming home?" Emma asked, climbing onto a stool at the kitchen island. "Not yet, sweetheart. She's with her family right now." "Are they mad at you?" Devin flipped a pancake, considering his words carefully. "Very mad. But sometimes doing the right thing makes people angry, especially people who've been doing the wrong thing for a long time." "What did they do wrong?" "They lied. They took money that was supposed to help kids learn to read, and they used it for themselves. And they hurt you. So I made sure everyone would know the truth." Emma processed this, her young face serious. "Will they go to jail?" "Maybe. Probably. That's up to people smarter than me to figure out." "Good." Her voice was firm, fierce in a way that made Devin's chest tight. "They were mean. To you and to me. And you don't get to be mean just because you have money. No, kiddo. You don't." They spent Christmas morning opening presents, just the two of them, in pajamas, with terrible Christmas music playing and absolutely no regard for proper etiquette. Emma's face when she saw the first edition book was worth everything Devin had sacrificed to get here. "Daddy, this must have cost so much money. You're worth so much more." By noon, the news had spread beyond the globe. CNN picked it up. Fox, MSNBC. The Coon Family Foundation scandal was trending on Twitter. Devin's phone kept buzzing with messages he didn't read, calls he didn't answer. The only call he took was from his own lawyer, Martin Lloyd, at 2 p.m. "Devin, what the hell have you done? Exposed fraud. Isn't that what good citizens do? Good citizens don't destroy their wife's family on Christmas. They destroyed my daughter first. I just evened the score." Martin sighed. Vernon's lawyer already called. "They're threatening everything. Defamation, tortious interference, harassment. Laura's filing for divorce. Emergency custody hearing for Emma. They're coming at you with everything they've got. Let them come. Everything in that story is documented and true. Vernon knows it. That's why he's panicking. They're going to make this ugly, Devin. It was already ugly. I just made it visible." After hanging up, Devin found Emma curled up on the couch, reading her new book. He sat beside her, and she leaned against him automatically. "Daddy, are you and Mom going to get divorced?" He should have been surprised she'd figured it out, but Emma had always been sharp. "Probably, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Will I have to live with Grandma and Grandpa?" "Never. I promise you that. You're my daughter, and nobody, not your grandparents, not lawyers, not anyone, is going to take you away from me. Even if they try? Even if they try." That night, after Emma finally fell asleep, Devin sat in his study and did what he should have done months ago. He called Wesley Levy back. "The story's exploding," Wesley said. "Federal prosecutors are already sniffing around. SEC wants to talk. This is bigger than we thought." "Good. What else do you have?" "What do you mean? The foundation is just the start. Vernon didn't build an empire on charity fraud alone. What else are you working on?" Wesley was quiet for a moment. "There might be something. A real estate deal that went south about 5 years ago. Vernon used foundation funds to bail out a failing development project. Lost investors millions. But it's complicated, hard to prove. Send me everything you have. Names, dates, documents." "Devin, you've already dropped a bomb. Why keep pushing?" "Because they're going after Emma. They want custody. They want to take my daughter and turn her into another generation of coon. Polite, empty, cruel. I can't let that happen. So you're going to bury them. I'm going to make sure they never have the power to hurt her again." Wesley sent over the files within an hour. Devin spread them across his desk, studying transaction records and correspondence. Vernon had been even sloppier than he'd thought. The development project, a luxury condo building in Southie, had been funded with foundation money disguised as community development grants. When it failed, Vernon had quietly paid himself back using donor contributions. It was fraud on top of fraud. And the investors who'd lost money? They included teachers' pension funds, union retirement accounts, people who couldn't afford to lose. Devin started making a list of names, people to contact, stories to corroborate, evidence to gather. His phone buzzed. "Laura." He almost didn't answer, but some part of him, the part that had loved her once, made him pick up. What do you want? I want to know how you could do this. Her voice was ragged, like she'd been crying for hours. My father is ruined, Devin. The foundation is under investigation. Our family name is destroyed. How could you? You stood there while your parents turned our daughter away at Christmas. While they humiliated her. While they made her feel unwanted. How could you? They were wrong, but this is nuclear war. You didn't just hurt my parents. You hurt everyone. Beatrice, Vernon Jr., the whole family. People who never did anything to you. Vernon Jr. stood in that doorway and said nothing while Emma cried. Beatrice sends nice texts but never stands up to your parents when it matters. They're all complicit, Laura. Every one of them chose comfort over doing the right thing. And what about me? Did you think about what this would do to me? Devin laughed, bitter and sharp. Did you think about Emma when you forgot to include me in the Christmas plans? When you had conversations with your mother about my influence on our daughter? When you consulted a lawyer about custody without telling me? Silence. That's what I thought. Devin's voice softened, just slightly. I loved you once, Laura. Really loved you. But you chose them. You always choose them. And I can't watch you teach Emma to do the same. I'm going to fight you for custody. My parents have the best lawyers money can buy. And I have the truth. Let's see which one wins. Laura hung up. Devin stared at his phone, feeling the weight of what he'd set in motion. There was no going back now. This was war, total, absolute, scorched earth war. And he intended to win. The custody battle started immediately after Christmas. Vernon hired Graham and Associates, Boston's most aggressive family law firm. They filed emergency motions claiming Devin was unstable, vindictive, and potentially dangerous. They painted a picture of a man who destroyed his daughter's family out of spite, who couldn't control his emotions, who put revenge above his child's well-being. Martin Lloyd, Devin's lawyer, countered with evidence of the coon's cruelty, the Christmas exclusion, the documented attempts to alienate Emma, the pattern of emotional manipulation. But in family court, money talked. And the coons had a lot of it. They're pushing for supervised visitation, Martin told Devin 3 days after Christmas. Claiming you're a flight risk and emotionally unstable. Supervised visitation? For my own daughter? It's a tactic. They want to rattle you, make you seem reactive and dangerous. Don't give them ammunition. But Devin was already 3 steps ahead. While the coons focused on the custody battle, he'd been working another angle. He'd contacted every investor who'd lost money in Vernon's failed development project. 17 people. 17 families who'd trusted Vernon Coon with their retirement savings. One of them was Billy Hathaway, a retired firefighter who'd lost $200,000. You're telling me my pension money went to a luxury condo building? Billy's voice over the phone was shaking. And when it failed, Vernon Coon just took it? That's exactly what I'm telling you. And I have the documents to prove it. Interested in a class action lawsuit? Damn right I am. By New Year's Eve, Devin had assembled a group of 16 investors, all ready to sue. The case would take years, but it didn't matter. What mattered was the optics. Vernon Coon, pillar of the community, sued by hardworking people he'd swindled. The media loved it. Crisis management consultant turns whistleblower, one headline read. Devin Raymond. From fixing scandals to exposing them. Wesley's follow-up stories kept the pressure constant. The foundation was hemorrhaging donors. The board was fracturing, with members either resigning or pointing fingers. Federal prosecutors had opened a formal investigation. And through it all, Vernon and Muriel Coon maintained a stony silence, their lawyers doing all the talking. The first custody hearing was scheduled for January 15th. Devin spent the intervening weeks preparing, gathering evidence, documenting every interaction with Emma. He recorded her laughter when they built a snowman in the backyard. Her concentration when she worked on math homework. The way she fell asleep reading, book still in hand. Why are you taking so many pictures? Emma asked one evening. Because I want to remember everything. Every moment with you. Are they going to take me away? Devin knelt in front of her, taking her hands. I'm going to fight for you with everything I have. But I need you to be brave, okay? The judge might want to talk to you. Ask you questions about where you want to live. I want to live with you. Then you tell them that. Tell them the truth about everything. About how grandma and grandpa make you feel. About what you want. Will mom be there? Probably. Is that okay? Emma's face crumpled. I miss her. But I'm mad at her too. She didn't stop them. She let them say I couldn't come to Christmas. I know, sweetheart. Families are complicated. Sometimes people we love let us down. Did you love Mom? Very much. Once. But love isn't enough sometimes. You also need respect. And trust. And she broke both of those things. The custody hearing was held in Suffolk County Family Court, a building that smelled like anxiety and broken promises. Devin arrived with Martin at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. Laura was already there with her parents and their legal team, 4 lawyers in expensive suits, briefcases full of character assassinations. Vernon looked older, harder. The scandal had aged him, carved new lines around his mouth and eyes. Muriel was perfectly composed, but Devin caught the tremor in her hands when she gripped her purse. They didn't make eye contact. The judge, Honorable Jamie Bartlett, was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s with a reputation for seeing through bullshit. She reviewed the preliminary motions without expression. Mr. Raymond, you're accused of vindictive behavior, emotional instability, and putting your desire for revenge above your daughter's welfare. How do you respond? Devin stood. Your Honor, I exposed fraud because it was the right thing to do. My in-laws stole from a charitable foundation and from individual investors. They used Emma's trust fund contributions as a tax shelter. And when I discovered this, they attempted to exclude me from the family and alienate my daughter. On Christmas Eve, they barred Emma from their home while her cousins and friends were inside. She's 9 years old, and they made her feel unwanted. I won't apologize for protecting her from people who would damage her self-worth to maintain their social standing. Vernon's lawyer shot up. Your Honor, this is character assassination. My clients made a difficult decision about what was appropriate for their granddaughter based on concerns about her father's judgment. Her father's judgment in marrying your daughter, you mean? Devin interrupted. Let's be clear about what this is really about. The Coons have never accepted me. I'm the scholarship kid from Dorchester who crashed their daughter's Harvard party. I don't have the right breeding, the right background, the right bank account. And they've spent 11 years trying to minimize my role in Emma's life. This custody fight isn't about her welfare. It's about control. Judge Bartlett held up a hand. Gentlemen, I've reviewed the evidence. The Christmas incident. The documented attempts at parental alienation. The foundation scandal. All of it. She turned to Laura. Mrs. Raymond, where do you stand in all this? Laura stood slowly. She looked exhausted, caught between warring sides. I love my daughter, Your Honor. I want what's best for her. That's not an answer. Do you support your parents' petition for custody? Laura glanced at Vernon, at Muriel, at Devin. I think Emma needs stability. And Devin has been erratic. Erratic how? He destroyed my family's foundation. He's made us social pariahs. He's under tremendous stress, and I worry about how that affects Emma. Has he ever been violent? Abusive? Neglectful? No, but has Emma ever expressed fear of her father? Reluctance to be with him? No. She adores him. But then what, specifically, makes him unfit for custody? Laura opened her mouth, closed it. She had no answer because there was no answer. Devin was a good father. The best father Emma could have asked for. And everyone in that courtroom knew it. Judge Bartlett made her decision quickly. Pending further hearings, I'm granting joint custody with primary residence to Mr. Raymond. Mrs. Raymond will have visitation rights. The grandparents' petition for custody is denied. Vernon exploded. This is outrageous. That man has destroyed our family. Mr. Coon, I suggest you sit down before I hold you in contempt. Judge Bartlett's voice was ice. Your family's legal troubles are not this court's concern. What concerns me is the welfare of a 9-year-old child who was excluded from a family gathering on Christmas Eve. That kind of cruelty tells me everything I need to know about who should be raising her. Outside the courtroom, Vernon cornered Devin in the hallway. Muriel hung back, her composure finally cracking. You think you've won? Vernon's voice was low, dangerous. You've won nothing. I have resources you can't imagine. Connections. I'll make sure every door in this city closes to you. You'll never work in Boston again. Devin smiled. You still don't get it, do you? I don't care about doors. I don't care about your connections, or your money, or your threats. I care about Emma. And you made the mistake of trying to take her from me. Everything else, the foundation, the investors, the scandal, that's just me making sure you never have the power to hurt her again. I'm her grandfather. You're the man who told her she wasn't good enough. Who made her cry on Christmas. Who looked at my beautiful, brilliant daughter and found her lacking because half her DNA comes from me. Devin leaned in close. You want to know what I think, Vernon? I think you're terrified. Terrified that Emma will grow up strong and independent and kind. Everything your family isn't. Terrified that she'll see through your bullshit the way I did. And you should be terrified. Because she's going to be extraordinary. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Vernon's face went purple. For a moment, Devon thought the old man might actually swing at him. But Muriel grabbed her husband's arm, pulling him back. Vernon, let's go. They left without another word. Laura stood in the hallway, watching them go, then turned to Devon. Are you happy now? You got what you wanted. No, Laura. I never wanted this. I wanted a family. A real family, where Emma felt loved and accepted and safe. But your parents made that impossible. So yeah, I'll take this. I'll take custody, and I'll raise our daughter to be everything they're afraid of. She needs her mother. Then be her mother. Really be her mother. Not the Kuhn family representative, but Emma's mom. Choose her over them. Prove to me that you can. Laura's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how. Then figure it out. Because Emma deserves better than divided loyalties and conditional love. She deserves someone who will fight for her the way I do. Devon walked away, leaving Laura in that courthouse hallway. He'd said everything he needed to say, done everything he needed to do. Now came the hard part, rebuilding. The second phase of Devon's plan unfolded over the next 6 months. While Vernon and Muriel dealt with federal investigators and angry investors, Devon focused on creating a life for Emma that didn't revolve around the Kuhn family drama. He enrolled her in a new school, one where nobody knew about the scandal, where she could just be Emma, not the Kuhn granddaughter. He hired Taylor Vogel, a child therapist, to help her process the family fracture. And he made sure she understood that none of this was her fault. Sometimes adults do terrible things, he told her one evening. And sometimes other adults have to stop them. That's what I did. By destroying Grandpa's foundation? By telling the truth about what he'd done. The destruction was his own fault. Emma thought about this. Miss Vogel says that families can be toxic. That sometimes the healthiest thing is to walk away. Miss Vogel is very smart. She also says you did the right thing. That you protected me. Devon pulled Emma close. I'll always protect you, kiddo. No matter what. But protection took many forms. And Devon had one more card to play. In April, Wesley Levy published his final story, The Kuhn Legacy, 3 Generations of Corruption. It traced Vernon's father's shady business dealings in the 1960s, Vernon's own questionable investments, and concluded with devastating detail about how the family had maintained their wealth through fraud, tax evasion, and selective philanthropy designed more for publicity than impact. The story included interviews with 17 former foundation employees, 12 defrauded investors, and one very angry ex-daughter-in-law. Laura had finally broken ranks. My parents taught me to value appearance over substance, she told Wesley, to protect the family name at all costs. But when they excluded my daughter from Christmas, when they tried to take her away from her father just to save face, I realized I'd become exactly what I'd always feared, a Kuhn through and through. The interview was damning. Laura detailed years of manipulation, of being taught to see Devon as lesser, of pressure to divorce him and correct the mistake of their marriage. She confirmed Vernon's attempts to use foundation funds for personal gain. She provided documents, emails, recorded conversations. She burned it all down. When Devon saw the article, he called her. Why'd you do it? Laura's voice was quiet, exhausted. Because you were right. About all of it. And because Emma asked me a question I couldn't answer. What question? She asked me if I was brave like you. If I could stand up to Grandma and Grandpa. And I realized I'd never done that. Never in my whole life. I'd always chosen the easy path, the safe path, the Kuhn path. She laughed, bitter. Turns out it wasn't safe at all. It was just cowardice. What happens now? My parents aren't speaking to me. Vernon Jr. said I betrayed the family. Beatrice is trying to play mediator, but it's pointless. The foundation is done. The house is going up for sale to pay legal fees. Everything my parents built is collapsing. How do you feel about that? Lighter. Like I've been carrying something heavy my whole life, and finally put it down. She paused. Can I see Emma? Really see her, not just supervised visitation. We'll work something out. She misses you. I miss her too. And Devon? Thank you. For what? For being strong enough to do what I couldn't. For protecting our daughter. For showing me what integrity actually looks like. By summer, the legal proceedings had concluded. Vernon and 3 foundation board members were indicted on multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. The civil lawsuit from the investors was settled for $12 million, most of the Kuhn family's liquid assets. The estate in Brookline sold for $4.3 million, barely enough to cover debts. Vernon and Muriel moved to a modest condo in Newton, their social standing destroyed, their legacy in ruins. Vernon Jr. kept his distance, protecting his own career. Beatrice called occasionally, but the family gatherings were over. The Kuhn empire, such as it was, had fallen. And Emma thrived. She made new friends at school. She joined the robotics club. She started writing short stories, science fiction adventures about girls who solved problems through cleverness and courage, not by fitting in or pleasing others. "This is really good," Devin told her, reading one of her stories. "You should submit it to that magazine I told you about." "It's probably not good enough." "Says who?" "Nobody. What if they reject it?" "Then they reject it, and you submit somewhere else." "But you know what's worse than rejection? Never trying because you're afraid of what someone might think." Emma grinned. "That sounds like something a dad would say." "I'm a dad. Your dad. And I'm very proud of you." In August, Laura officially filed for divorce. It was amicable, civilized, sad in the way endings always are. They divided assets, worked out a custody schedule that prioritized Emma's stability, and agreed to co-parent without dragging their daughter through more conflict. "I'm sorry," Laura said at their final mediation session. "For all of it. For choosing them over you. Over us. I'm sorry too. I loved who you were before they got their hooks back in you. But I understand. Family is complicated. Not all families. Look at what you built with Emma. That's not complicated. That's just love." "Yeah, it is." They signed the papers on a Tuesday afternoon. That evening, Devin took Emma out for ice cream. Their tradition, the thing they'd done since she was small enough to sit on his shoulders. "How do you feel?" Emma asked, working on a cone of mint chocolate chip. "Honestly, relieved. Your mom and I weren't making each other happy anymore. Sometimes love isn't enough." "Will she be okay?" "Your mom is tougher than she looks. She's figuring out who she is without your grandparents pulling her strings. It's hard, but she'll get there." "Do you think I'll ever see Grandma and Grandpa again?" Devin considered lying, softening the truth. But Emma deserved honesty. "Maybe. Someday. If they apologize. If they prove they've changed. But not until I'm absolutely sure they won't hurt you again. I don't think I want to see them. Even if they apologize. That's okay too. You get to decide who deserves space in your life, Emma. That's your power. Don't let anyone take it from you." Emma nodded, thoughtful. Then she smiled. The real smile, the one that reached her eyes. "Want to hear something funny?" "Always." Miss Vogel said families are like gardens. Sometimes you have to pull weeds so the good plants can grow. That's very wise. "Yeah. And Daddy? I think you're the good plant. You and me and Mom, when she's being brave. Everyone else was just weeds." Devin laughed, pulled his daughter close, and kissed the top of her head. "I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." 1 year later, Devin stood in the back of a community center auditorium in Dorchester, watching Emma give a speech. She'd won a citywide science competition with a project on renewable energy, and part of the prize was presenting her work to local students. She was nervous. He could see it in the way she gripped the podium, but her voice was clear and confident. She explained complex concepts in simple terms, made jokes that landed, held the audience's attention. She was extraordinary. In the crowd, Devin spotted familiar faces. Laura, sitting in the third row, beaming with pride. Taylor Vogel, the therapist. Wesley Levy, who'd become an unlikely family friend. And there, in the back corner, looking small and uncertain, Beatrice Haas. After Emma's presentation, after the applause and congratulations, Beatrice approached Devin. "She's wonderful," Beatrice said. "You've done an amazing job with her." "Thanks. I had good raw material to work with." Beatrice smiled, but it was strained. "I wanted to apologize. For Christmas. For everything. I should have stood up to Vernon and Muriel. I should have said something when they turned Emma away. But I was a coward." "Yeah, you were. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I wanted you to know what you did. Exposing the foundation, it was the right thing. Vernon destroyed a lot of people. Betrayed a lot of trust. He needed to be stopped. How is he? Bitter. Angry. Blames everyone but himself. Muriel's not much better. They're fighting, actually. Might even divorce. Turns out adversity doesn't bring out the best, in everyone. And Vernon Jr.? Pretending none of it happened. He's running for state senate, trying to distance himself from the family name. It's not working. Devin watched Emma across the room, showing her project board to a group of younger students. She was patient with them, encouraging, kind. Everything the Coons weren't. She's going to change the world, Beatrice said. You can see it in her. That spark. That drive. Yeah, she is. Will you ever forgive us? Any of us? Devin looked at Beatrice, really looked at her. She was trying. That counted for something. I don't know. Maybe. But it's not really my forgiveness you need. It's Emma's. And she gets to decide who earns a place in her life. Not me. Not you. Her. Fair enough. Beatrice hesitated. If she ever wants to see me, will you let her know I'd like that? I will. But don't hold your breath. Emma's got a long memory and a strong sense of justice. She's her father's daughter that way. Beatrice smiled. The world needs more people like her. And like you. After she left, Laura joined Devin at the back of the room. Beatrice came, she said. Yeah. She apologized. What did you say? That it's Emma's call whether to have a relationship with any of the Coons. Including you. Laura nodded. That's fair. How am I doing, by the way? As a recovering Coon. Devin laughed. Better. You showed up today. You've been showing up. That matters. I almost didn't come. Old habits. I thought about making an excuse, finding a reason to stay away. But then I remembered what you said, that Emma deserves someone who fights for her. So here I am. Fighting. Here you are. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching their daughter shine. Emma caught their eyes and waved, her grin splitting her face. She's happy, Laura said quietly. Really happy. I don't think I ever saw her like this when we were all together. That's because she doesn't have to perform anymore. Doesn't have to be the perfect Coon granddaughter. She can just be Emma. I wish I'd been brave enough to let her do that sooner. You're doing it now? That's what counts. Later that night, back at home, Devin tucked Emma into bed. She was still buzzing from the day's excitement. Dad, did you see how many people came? There must have been like 100 people. 87. I counted. Show off. She grinned. Thanks for coming. Wouldn't have missed it for the world, kiddo. Do you think Grandma and Grandpa would have been proud if things were different? Devin considered the question carefully. I think they would have been proud of the accomplishment, but they wouldn't have understood the person you're becoming. The strong, independent, brilliant person who doesn't need their approval to know her worth. Is it bad that I don't miss them? No, sweetheart. It's healthy. They hurt you. And you don't owe people who hurt you your affection or your time. What about Mom? She hurt me too, but I don't want to lose her. Your mom is trying to be better, to choose you over the family expectations that made her hurt you in the first place. That effort matters. But you're allowed to be cautious. To protect yourself while she proves she's changed. Emma yawned, snuggling deeper under her covers. I love you, Dad. I love you too, Emma. More than anything in this world. Thanks for protecting me. From them. From everything. Always, kiddo. That's what dads do. As Emma drifted off to sleep, Devin sat in his study with a glass of whiskey, scrolling through news on his phone. Vernon Coon had been sentenced that afternoon, 3 years in federal prison for fraud and embezzlement. Muriel had escaped prosecution but was facing a civil suit from the state attorney general. Wesley had texted earlier, justice served. You must feel vindicated. Devin didn't feel vindicated. He felt tired. Satisfied, maybe, but mostly just tired. He'd won. Emma was safe, happy, thriving. The Coons couldn't hurt her anymore. Their power had been broken, their legacy destroyed. But victory didn't taste the way he'd imagined. It tasted like ashes and endings, like necessary destruction and Pyrrhic triumph. He thought about that Christmas Eve, about Emma's face when Vernon had turned her away, about the rage that had fueled his crusade, about the year of legal battles and public exposure and systematic dismantling of everything the Coons had built. Had it been worth it? He looked at the photo on his desk, Emma at the science competition, holding her trophy, grinning like she'd conquered the world. In that moment, standing on that stage, she'd been fearless and free and absolutely certain of her own worth. Yeah, it had been worth it. The next morning, Devin woke to Emma making breakfast, or attempting to. She'd cracked eggs all over the counter, spilled milk, and somehow gotten flour in her hair. I was trying to surprise you, she said sheepishly. Mission accomplished. I'm very surprised. They cleaned up together, made a proper breakfast, and sat down to eat. Outside, autumn was turning the trees gold and crimson. A new school year was starting. Emma had signed up for advanced math and creative writing. She was talking about maybe trying out for the debate team. You'd be great at debate, Devin told her. You've got a good mind, and you're not afraid to argue your point. I learned from the best. Flattery will get you everywhere. After breakfast, Emma grabbed her backpack. Ready for school? Ready if you are. They drove through Boston in comfortable silence. Devin dropped Emma off at the front entrance, watching her join a group of friends, real friends, who liked her for who she was, not what family she came from. As he pulled away, his phone rang. Unknown number. Devin Raymond. Mr. Raymond. This is Ernesto Cox from the Boston Globe. I'm doing a follow-up piece on the Kuhn Foundation scandal. 1 year later. Would you be interested in commenting? Devin thought about it. About giving interviews, rehashing the drama, keeping the story alive. No thanks. That chapter's closed. Are you sure? People are interested in where you are now, how you've. I'm sure. Have a good day, Mr. Cox. He hung up. There was nothing left to say about the Kuhns, about the scandal, about any of it. He'd done what needed doing. Protected his daughter. Exposed corruption. Built a life worth living. The rest was just noise. That evening, Laura came by for dinner. Her week with Emma was starting tomorrow, and they developed a ritual of transitioning gently. She brought Thai food, Emma's favorite. So, Laura said over pad Thai. I got a job offer. Yeah? Doing what? Grant writing. For a nonprofit. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. Helping people actually get funding for programs that matter. That's great, Laura. Really. It's weird, you know? Working. I've never had a real job. The foundation was just playing at charity. This is different. Harder. But better. Emma looked between her parents. Are you happy, Mom? Laura smiled. Yes, sweetie. I think I am. For the first time in a long time. After dinner, after Laura and Emma left for Laura's apartment, Devin stood on his front steps watching the sunset. The city spread out before him. Messy, complicated, imperfect. Beautiful. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You destroyed my family. I'll destroy yours. V. Vernon, reaching out from prison. Still angry, still threatening, still not understanding that he'd destroyed himself. Devin deleted the text without responding. Vernon Kuhn was finished, whether he knew it or not. His threats were empty, his power gone. He was just a bitter old man in a cell, raging at consequences he'd earned. And Devin? Devin was free. Free from the Kuhn's judgment, their expectations, their toxic legacy. Free to raise his daughter in truth and kindness, to build a family based on love instead of appearance, substance instead of status. He'd won not through money or connections, but through courage and integrity. Through refusing to back down when powerful people tried to make him small. Through protecting the person who mattered most, no matter the cost. Emma was safe. Laura was finding herself. The Kuhns were broken. Justice, imperfect and messy and hard-won, had been served. Devin went inside, poured himself a scotch, and raised it to the window. Merry Christmas, he said to the darkness, to the ghosts of a year ago, to the life he'd fought so hard to claim. And then he smiled, drank, and got on with the business of living. The war was over. He'd won. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.